Here's your reminder that Tracy McGrady had a convo with Shannon Sharp and called Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant more skilled players than LeBron James and Dwayne Wade, and also more skilled than Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen in the process. Calling Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving the most skilled duo of all time is bold, but that doesn't mean that it's necessarily wrong. You guys could let me know what you think down in the comments below. Dwayne Wade saw this on Twitter and agreed, saying it's not a dig. Them two dudes are skilled AF. LeBron would also co-sign, saying I see no lies told. They're two of the most skilled players of all time. Again, this isn't me saying that Kyrie and KD aren't two of the most skilled players to touch a basketball. This is more so me saying that it's funny that LeBron James has practically become one of the biggest jinxes in the game. He definitely has to be up there with Andre Drummond at this point. From the crossover where he mimics LeBron James to the peace sign with the Brooklyn Nets, Andre Drummond has really given us some classics. When it comes to the topic of the most skilled duo ever, my perspective is that I think LeBron James is such a presence that some people have used that presence to take away from how gifted and how skilled that he actually is. Bron is 37, and in his age 37 season, he was able to effectively average 30 points per game on over 50% from the field. You've got to be pretty skilled to do something like that. To be real with you guys, Bron aging gracefully has really allowed me to appreciate his skill on a different level. I'm actually a little surprised that Steph doesn't get more love for being the most skilled player ever. With this Brooklyn Nets team, I didn't really know what to expect when James Harden got traded, but I think I can speak for a lot of people when I say that I didn't expect this. Guys, be 100% honest with me. Was this a foul on Jason Tatum? The reffing in these playoffs have been mad inconsistent. I want competitive series, but I don't want cheap series. Throughout the game for the Nets and the Celtics, I thought that there were some very poor calls being made, especially towards the end. Unfortunately, you guys know that I had the Brooklyn Nets making a smooth playoff run. Their run would be anything but smooth. As a matter of fact, I don't think that smooth is the proper adjective to describe their run at all. I think something like short or disappointing would be a much better way to describe their run. At the end of game 4, they had their chances, they missed free throws they didn't get back, and they ultimately blew it. I really hope Brooklyn fans don't get too mad at me for making this video, because in this video I'm going to be pretty critical, but I'm also going to be pretty honest. Nick Claxton may have had the worst game from the free throw line that I've ever seen. I know I say things like this a lot, but I really do believe he had the worst game from the line that I've ever seen. He missed 10 free throws. The Nets didn't lose by 10. I imagine that Shaq watched this game in the TNT studio and thought that I wasn't even that bad. Fun fact, but Claxton actually shoots a higher percentage from the free throw line than Shaq for his career. Maybe one day I'll do a video deep diving into the worst free throw shooters of all time. Claxton, starting 0 of 10, overtook Shaq's previous playoff record for most missed free throws in a row. To claim the record in the first place, Shaq would miss 8 straight. The hack of Shaq was a thing for good reason, even if it was unbearable to watch. Hopefully Ben Simmons has been working on his shot. Andre Drummond too, if he's in the Nets' future plans. The Nets rostered a number of poor free throw shooters this year. It's not often talked about, but missing free throws can sway a game, especially when teams are flat out hacking. There's no worse way to get taken out of your offense that features 2 elite scorers than having your worst free throw shooters consistently step up to the line and miss a pair every trip down. As somebody that has Jonas as their big, it's so relieving to have a guy like him that is able to step up to the line and knock down a pair no problem. You guys are going to hear me say this and repeat this a lot. Losing a competitive series is one thing, but getting swept in the first round is a completely different beast, especially when your team had championship aspirations. I know that there's going to be a lot of downplaying by the players and maybe even some media members, but at the end of the day, there are legacies that are still in the works, and to be short, this just isn't a good look. There's a narrative surrounding the Nets that they gave up as the series went on. That narrative is correct. After Game 3, Kyrie said that being down 3-1 in the finals was a totally different situation than what we're in right now. I'll always remember that 3-1 comeback. The Draymond suspension, everything was epic. I mean, how could I forget? Kyrie was right. That 3-1 comeback was a completely different situation, but if you were able to read the room, you'd be able to tell where this comment came from. It wasn't a sign of optimism, it was a sign of the opposite. I don't care if a team is down 0-3, 0-5, 0-7, 0-9, whatever. There should be a belief that you can win 20 games straight if you have to win 20 games straight. If you don't believe that you can get that 20 straight, then in my opinion, I think you're in it with the wrong group of people. I'll never forget when the Boston Red Sox came back from 0-3. Everybody said that they couldn't do it, but they did it. After going down 0-3, Kyrie also said that the Celtics have been gelling since Christmas, and the Nets are in a new experience as a group, and we just have to respect that. He added that he doesn't know how you make up the time that the Nets lost. Does anybody else see the irony in this situation? Does anybody else think that they might regret trading James Harden, even a little bit? To be fair though, I'm not sure that this team was a James Harden away, but at this moment in time, at least James Harden would have been available to play in this series. If Ben Simmons doesn't return to form, his contract will quickly turn into one of the worst in the NBA. With Kyrie Irving having a player option this offseason, and there being a nasty rift that grew between Kyrie and the Nets during the season, this can easily become a situation to monitor. But to be anticlimactic, Kai did say that he doesn't plan on going anywhere. When the Nets were overloading their stars with minutes during the regular season, I had a feeling that there might be some trouble, but come playoff time, I had a good feeling that everything would be good. I thought they'd fix everything. I mean, maybe not everything, but I thought they'd be a lot better than they were. Now maybe the Celtics are just that good, maybe the Nets are a team with some deep-rooted problems, or maybe there's a little bit of both going on there. Nash cites KD playing heavy minutes during the regular season after missing a lot of time as part of the Nets' problem. Have you guys seen that meme where the caption is, I wonder who that's for? Don't get me wrong, some injuries are unpreventable, but it seems that a lot of the Nets' problems are because they are the victims of their own actions. They wanted Steve Nash as a coach, well, they got him. Does that mean that they viewed Steve Nash as a coach? No. October 1st, 2020, Kyrie said that I don't really see us having a head coach. You know what I mean? KD could be a head coach. I could be a head coach. I get what Kai was going for, but that's not exactly a vote of confidence for somebody who was stepping into being a first-time head coach. To top everything off, according to the Stein line, Nash still has the support of Kevin Durant and the Brooklyn Nets. He's unlikely to be fired. Now, I'll believe that when I see Nash coaching for the Nets next season. This is somebody that after being swept said, it's hard to say that this team underperformed. Come on, Nash, I appreciate the positivity. I could never be mad at that. But it's hard to say that this team underperformed. Honestly, my favorite quote post-sweep is from Goran Dragic, who said that every day there was something different, something difficult. It's a telling quote from somebody that didn't really hold back. I think that Dragic has a lot left in the tank, and I think that Blake does too. I wish we saw more of Blake this year. If anybody in the comments wants a video on what's going on with Blake, just let me know. The narrative about Brooklyn quitting is correct, but ultimately, I feel that Boston wore them down. They wore them down, they were physical, and they played like a team. It's not a major unknown that Kevin Durant and Kyrie are two of the best ISO players in the game. Regardless of if the earlier statement of them being regarded as the most skilled duo of all time is true or not, there's a reason that they're even in that conversation. Individually, they're two of the most unique scorers to put the ball in the basket. Kyrie is crafty and has a unique handle that you usually can't check one-on-one. KD stands at over 6'10" and has virtually every guard skill that you could imagine. Yet the Celtics were able to make their lives miserable on the court. Tatum was even blocking KD jumpers. How often do we see that? Basketball is deeper than ISOing every play. I'm not saying that's what the Nets did, but they were clearly an ISO-heavy team. It just so happens that Ime, Tatum, Brown, Horford, Rob, the Celtics were the perfectly built team to stop that. I like Kai, but he doesn't seem like somebody that would be fun to play basketball with. He's 100% fun to watch. I could watch Kyrie cook all day, but to play with, that would be a completely different story. Now, of course, I'd be happy to be in the league, but I'm sure you guys understand what I'm saying. And that's no way a shot at Kyrie's personality. That's just me saying that there are times where he can be a little bit over ball dominant. People were calling the Los Angeles Lakers one of the biggest disappointments in NBA history. My question to you guys is is this disappointment at least up there? What's weird about this whole thing is I like the Nets roster. I like a lot of their pieces, but they're not getting any younger. I envision that this offseason is going to be wild. As rough as it is to admit at this point, I even like the talent of Ben Simmons. The whole Ben thing doesn't make a lot of sense in my head. Apparently, he wasn't on the bench for the sweep because of his back injury after being rumored to play Game 4. Yeah, guys, I have a whole breakdown on this stuff coming soon. According to Woj, the Nets were surprised and disappointed that he didn't have his debut in Game 4. If this is true, then I wonder how Kyrie and KD feel. Kai played while fasting and KD played a ton of minutes. I mean, basically whenever he was healthy. With that said, if Ben really wasn't healthy and wasn't ready to go, then I'm glad he sat out. At least I think. I just hope that Ben gets back and returns to playing basketball at a high level relatively soon. Let me know what you guys think of everything down in the comments below. Clicking the video on the screen right now is a great way to support my channel. I'm GetLikeCoop, bringing you guys the scoop. Until our next upload.